Hello. Welcome to the Skeins of Dreams Knitting podcast. I'm Megha. I'm also known as Skeins of Dreams on Instagram and on Ravelry. And thank you so much for checking out my video. If you're a new and if you're a returning viewer, welcome. So I usually come here, talk all about my knitting, and that's what I'm going to do today as well. I hope you're having a good day. I hope you have some crafting with you and maybe a beverage of choice. I have quite a bit of knitting that has happened in the last month or so, and I wanted to give you like a quick update on that and some future cast-ons basically, and just what is keeping me busy in general. So today is Saturday, September 30th, and I was at a work event for like half a day today. So I was all dressed up and did a little bit of makeup for that. So I thought, you know what, I'm not gonna let it go to waste. And I'm actually gonna come and record real quick and talk all about knitting as well. So yeah, I just finished lunch and I thought I'll take some time after just to, sit and relax and talk about knitting. So as you can see, I am actually wearing one of my finished objects. This is sort of my official Rhinebeck sweater. The New York Sheep and Wool Festival is in 3 weeks, and I'm sorry if you're really tired of people constantly mentioning it, but it's like an exciting time for those who are able to visit. I hope you're not like kind of sick of me mentioning it, but anyway, sweater's a sweater, right? Like if it's a Rhinebeck sweater or not. I finished my Calix cardigan. This was actually a test knit for Orlan Souk, who's Ted Besh on Instagram and Ravelry, and I am completely in love with this sweater. It has this beautiful cable detail all along the sleeves, and then the cable also does kind of repeat in the fronts as well. So it's a wonderful sweater. I'm so happy I made it, and I put these really cute contrasting wooden buttons with it. Like, I thought that would be cool. I did make kind of a bigger size for myself. Like, I like a cardigan that I can, I wanted a cozy something that I can kind of wrap myself in, and this has been like the perfect cardigan. I often, in my attempt to make things well fitted, my cardigans are a bit on the tighter side, but sometimes you just want something like super cozy that you can just wrap yourself in, and this is like that. It's not like too oversized, but it's definitely bigger than some of my other cardigans that almost have like a smarter jacket kind of look, but this was supposed to be a little comfortable and everything. So my bust size is maybe 46 inches with like a shirt on, and this finished cardigan is about 52 inches, so that's about 6 inches of positive ease. The cable pattern actually is very easily memorizable. It's not hard at all. It's actually makes the knitting of this pattern super quick. It just feels like you're going to the next cable and then you're knitting a few rows and the next cable, so it kind of keeps you engaged while also having stockinette. I've been enjoying that a little bit. I don't want the project to be too plain, and then I don't want a project to have too many details. Like, you need a certain mindset to be able to knit those, but this seemed so perfect in that it was interesting and then also easy to knit. So I really felt like I really needed this. One interesting or different detail is that the button band is done in garter, whereas like the rest, you're ribbing for the bottom and for everything else. And I don't don't know if Orlan did something different this time, but I feel like even though it's a raglan, it kind of sits really well on my neck. So I also did pick up around the neck area a little tightly, so that I picked up tightly as in I picked up a bit fewer stitches. Like I think I reduced 10 stitches around the neck pickup just to, close it in. But all in all, this cardigan worked out to be super awesome. I'm gonna put a picture of me wearing it. I put it up on Instagram if you follow me there. But yeah, I am extremely happy with it. And the yarn, oh my god, the yarn is so wonderful. This is the Hudson and West Company or Hudson and West Co. Forge yarn, and the color is Red Feather. So it's the perfect autumn rusty brown, and I'm super happy with the yarn. Like, it was such a pleasure to knit with. I picked up this yarn. This was my first purchase at the New York Sheep and Wool Festival. The last time I was there in 2021, and I went to the Indie Untangled event, and Hudson and West had booths there. I spent a lot of time at the booth trying to figure out colors, and I picked this up and I was so happy. I mean, this is a forever color for me. So it's been like 2 years, I guess, before I was able to knit it. It was just waiting for the perfect project, probably. So, and it has met its partner. So yeah, that was everything about it. And the pattern is available now, so I highly recommend it. I almost want to make another one. I know I say that quite a bit, but don't end up doing it as much. But if I had the time, I would like cast on another one of these. Like, it's really nice. And maybe like the next time I make it, if I make it like shorter and a bit snugger, I can wear it over a dress. That would be cute. That was the Calix cardigan, and yeah, it's done. I'm not gonna stand up, so I hope I've put pictures here on the screen for you. My next finished object, actually, I finished, like this one I finished recently, but this next one I finished before I finished the Calix. But because I'm wearing the Calix, I ended up talking about it first. And it's my Tolsta. I finished my pretty little Tolsta Tee, and so pleased with this one. Like, it was such an easy and cathartic knit, almost like very easy, like very basic, but super effective. And I did my eyelet rows at every 18 rows. Basically every 18th row was an eyelet row for me. I followed the pattern exactly, pretty much. I didn't have all that much yarn to do full sleeves because I had 2 skeins of fingering and 2 of mohair. So I think I would have run out of the fingering skein before I could finish full length sleeves. But I kind of like this length for transition weather. So I didn't really want it to be too I didn't want to do full sleeves. So I'm super happy with how this turned out. I actually don't have pictures of me wearing the Tolsta, and maybe today I should take pictures now that I'm all dressed up and everything. But yeah, so I finished it. I'm super happy with this as well. And I mean, this is a pattern by Rebecca Clo, who is the Creya Bea on YouTube and Instagram, I think. And Rebecca's patterns, like, I feel like Rebecca is now very well known in the knitting world, and her Tolsta pattern is quite popular as well. It's a basic raglan. She has a fingering and a DK weight version, and a lot of mods are suggested, or like she gives you options of doing so many modifications to the pattern to a simple raglan t-shirt kind of a thing. So super pleased with the outcome as well, and really nice and bright pink. So I'm super happy with it. All right. Those were my two finished objects. I haven't finished anything else. These were took up most of my time since the last time I came here and talked about my knitting. I do have works in progress as always, and more test knits basically. I am currently working on my Alder Sweater. While talking about Rebecca, how can I not mention that I'm always doing a test knit for Rebecca pretty much. So this is the Alder Sweater, and Rebecca's finished too already. Like she's knitting, she knit her second sample as well so quickly, whereas I feel like it's taking me much longer, though this is pretty much my main project right now. This marker is actually where I was the last time I showed it to you, so I have a considerable amount of the body done. I am still working on the body though. I'm hoping to at least, I don't think I'll meet the deadline for it. It's due next Friday. I don't think I'll finish the sweater in a week. Just the stitch is a bit slow for me, but I really want to get it done by Rhinebeck so I can actually wear it and get pictures with Rebecca. But yeah, I am thoroughly enjoying this knit. I'm knitting this in Sonder Yarn Sunday Morning DK. The main color is this beautiful red called Afterglow, and the contrast color is this blue-gray color called Stormy Weather. Very, very nice colors. I'm super happy with the pairing, and Rebecca has done like the ribbing with the contrast color for her sweaters, but I don't think I want the blue-gray close to my skin. I don't think I like that color that much. So I want to do the ribbing with the main color, but now I'm worried that I should have ordered another skein of the main color for that. I didn't think about it when I was ordering the yarn. So I'll see how much yardage was recommended, and then like, I don't know, I might just do the hem and the neck, and then the sleeves maybe I can do with the blue, because I don't care about the sleeves, but if the neck has to be red for me, so I might consider it. Let's see if I need more yarn, but that is my major work in progress that's currently being worked on. And then if you remember if you watched my last episode, I had this idea of casting on a poncho, and like I wanted to knit basically a raglan and then kind of never split for sleeves, technically keep increasing for sleeves and body, and then when I reach my elbow I wanted to do a split hem in the front. So at the raglan I would split it so that there is a spot for me to take my arms out of. So a lot of you really liked the idea, and Ivana from the Republic of Me podcast actually reached out and sent me an image of a poncho exactly like I had visioned. And I'm sure I mean, I didn't come up with the idea in vacuum. I probably saw it somewhere and then I figured I could try and make it myself. I'm sure we're influenced a lot by pictures, images, and people's clothes that we see, but don't really register as well. So yeah, Ivana actually reached out to me, and she sent me an image, and she even said that she probably would like to join in. So I don't know if Ivana has actually cast on for the poncho, but I did, and it's in its very like initial stages. I had mentioned that I really like doing twisted ribs, so I ended up doing a twisted rib neckline, and then I have been doing this twisted rib detail for the raglan, if I can show that clearly. So I'm doing this twisted rib detail, and I feel like it will stand out a bit more once I've done a lot more of it. The way I did the twisted rib detail is like I marked my raglan marked my raglan stitches, right? And 3 stitches before and after the marker I'm doing in the twisted rib. So I'm doing like a knit through the back loop, purl, knit through the back loop, slip marker, knit through the back loop, purl, knit through the back loop. So those 6 stitches with the marker in between, I'm doing a twisted rib, and the rest of it is stockinette. And when I do the increases, I do the increases outside of those 6 stitches. I'm not doing the increase right next to the markers. I'm doing them outside the rib detail. So the rib detail travels down the raglan. So this has been like a really fun, also like a lot more simple knit than the Alder. Like I'm just like it's stockinette, right? Like, and it's just started, so it's not like I put in a lot of time on it. I'm trying to maximize my time, my knitting time towards the Alder for sure. But yeah, and I actually ended up using Ivana's idea. So Ivana has shared, which is available for free for everyone. She has the in and out raglan. She makes these raglans all the time. So she basically gives you a recipe, and what you're supposed to do is gauge swatch, figure out your gauge, then decide what is the width of your neck. So you measure yourself at the neck, and basically based on your gauge you decide how many stitches you cast on. And then she has a table where she's divided every full, so say for example this one, and because it's a free pattern I'll tell you, my gauge is 16 stitches and I cast on 90 stitches based on what I needed my neck circumference to be. So I cast on 90, and then Ivana has a table where if you look for number 90, it will tell you how to divide for body and sleeves, and it's basically like a division by 6. Because, and I've seen this before, I think a few designers have talked about this, that your body front and back stitches are basically twice your sleeve stitches. So if you think 2 parts for the front, 2 parts for the back, that's 4. 1 part for one sleeve, 1 part for the other sleeve, so it's 6. So what I did was basically divided 90 by 6, which is 15. So that would mean I have 15 stitches for each sleeve and then 30 stitches for the front and back. So that's the math behind that. And then you do increases in a 4 row repeat. That's what Ivana suggests. The first row you increase all front, like body and sleeve. The second row you just knit around without any increases. Third row is increases for the front and back only. You don't do sleeve increases. And fourth row is again knit around. So I've been following this 4 row repeat, and that's basically how I've started my poncho. Once I reach a certain length, once I've made enough progress on it, I'm gonna of course try it on and see how it's going, and then I might decide to change the rate of increases maybe. I have all my notes in my Ravelry project page. If you can't access Ravelry, let me know and I can send you an email or something. But that's basically what I've been doing for the poncho. I pretty much just gave you a math lesson while talking about this. I hope that was okay and you didn't mind that, but I thought I'd just quickly mention what I'm doing. It's not, if you've made raglan sweaters before, it's not difficult. You can do it very easily. And Ivana's in and out recipe is very helpful. It's available on her blog, and I can try and link it below my video as well, so you can click the link and go to her blog directly. So yeah, so that has been the progress made on my poncho. I didn't mention this is the yarn I'm using. I got this in a closeout sale at Webs, which is like the biggest yarn store in the US online. It's an in-person store as well, like it's a brick and mortar store as well, but it's in somewhere near Boston, I think. And I only buy from them online. I've never visited them, but they have really, really wonderful yarn. And this is the Landlust Merino 120. So it's actually 120 yards and 50 grams. So it's like a bulky weight. And it's chain net construction. It's merino nylon blend, I think. It has a little bit of nylon in it. It's a really nice and soft yarn. And I really like the fabric it's making. Like it's looking really nice. I feel like on the screen, even though it's like daylight, like I'm not using any artificial light, it looks a little more yellow than it is in person. I don't know. It's pretty good what it's showing on the screen, but I feel like it's a little more cool toned than it's appearing on screen there. It looks more warm over there. It's a poncho. I'm gonna be all cozy this winter with my self-drafted poncho. So yeah, I feel like I'm just like very focused today. Maybe it was the 4 hours of work meetings that I had on a Saturday. Don't ask me why. That I'm just like very, as if I'm giving a work presentation. I don't feel like, maybe it's coming across okay, but I feel like I'm giving a work presentation. Maybe it was the math that made me think of work. And I was hoping I was not in the middle of a row in this next project, but clearly I am. So my next project, work in progress, is a shawl. Can you believe that? I am knitting something other than a sweater. I think this is the first shawl I cast on this year. Yes, you heard that right. It's September. It's the 30th of September. And this is the first shawl I've cast on. That is how much energy, or I call it takes me that much activation energy to make a shawl. Like, it took me 9 months to get there. Anyway, so I think I feel like a broken record when I say this. I love shawls, but I love large shawls, and I love the ones that are wide enough to go over my shoulders, because my shoulders are the coolest part, or like I feel cold in my shoulders a lot. And I find that a lot of smaller shawls can only be worn as scarves, and I can use 2 or 3 scarves maybe under my coat, but I don't have more use for them. Like, I'm happy with one good scarf that I can just wrap around my neck when I'm outdoors, but when I'm indoors, I like to put a shawl over my shoulders. So I'm always on the lookout for a shawl that looks like it's wide enough and deep enough that I can just wrap over my shoulders. And you may have heard of Hannah, who is the designer behind Herb Garden Knitwear. Hannah has some very, very beautiful designs, and Hannah is hosting a shawl knit along for her shawl patterns, like Hannah's shawl patterns. And I think she was posting about them on Instagram, and I had never seen this one before, but she has a shawl called the Savoring Shawl. And I'll try and put a picture of the image that Hannah shared. And I was completely like, oh my god, that is exactly what I need. And I got super excited about it. And because she's holding the knit along, I thought, you know what, I'm gonna like take this as an opportunity. I never participate in knit alongs to win a prize or anything. I'm sure not like most of us feel like that. It's just like, excuse or like the feeling of a community that we're knitting this stuff together. I just need an excuse. Like they say, a knit long, I cast on. Like that's basically my deal with knit longs. But I loved the shawl. It was so beautiful, and I shared it in my stories, and Hannah very kindly gifted me the pattern. I'm so pleased about that. Thank you so much, Hannah. I was really very sweet of her. So I cast on, and you will see a theme. It's all orange, right? Like my poncho is a little bit orange, and they look the same on this screen, but they're really not. This is a tomato red, and this is like a true orange, I think. But can you see that they're looking the same? Anyway, but I mean, going with the theme that I'm wearing as well. So I am knitting the Savoring Shawl, and I have picked pink and orange as my colors. So this is everyone's favorite linen quill yarn in the kiln red color. I really love this color. I'm holding it double because it's a worsted weight shawl. And then the contrast is actually lychee pink. I know some people call it lychee, but in India we call it lychee. So lychee pink. And I'm holding that double as well. So I'm only using the pink for all the eyelet and the bobble rows. And so far that's all I've done. Like it's just growing really rapidly, like lengthwise. And yeah, that's how much progress I've made, and I'm almost about this point where I have to add an eyelet row. But I'm thoroughly enjoying this. And you know, I made the half and half wrap like everyone else did. Linen quill is just this, it has this feeling about it. It's just so nice to knit with. I cannot explain it. And a lot of people like feel the same. I think that's why the half and half wrap became so popular, because just the yarn it's just got a quality that you just want to knit with it. And you kind of forget that. Like I made the half and half wrap, and then I'm done, and then I move on to the next project. And I realized that I haven't knit with linen quill again. And I cast this on, and I was like, I forgot how much I like knitting with it. So I am again super pleased with the yarn and pattern combination. I'm hoping to have this finished sometime, you know, in the coming month or two. But yeah, it's a really simple garter stitch pattern. It has eyelet and bobble rows for interest, and then at the bottom you have like a lace edging on the shawl. So it looks really pretty in all of Hannah's images, so I'm really looking forward to it. So yeah, so that is my Savoring Shawl, and I'm participating in the Herb Garden Shawl Knit Along 2023. It has a hashtag on Instagram. I'll try and put it on the screen if I can remember. Otherwise, ping me on Instagram and I'll share Hannah's post with you. So yeah. So those basically are the 3 projects that I have been working on. There are a lot of things that, oops, I moved the mic, or I moved the camera. There are a lot of things I'm planning to work on, obviously, and it's pretty much fall weather here, so I'm thinking about next project, what I want to cast on, what kind of clothes I want to make. And at the same time, I'm getting into this mood where I really want to finish some things that I started at the beginning of the year, and it would be nice if I could finish them before the year ends. So there's always motivation, right? Like there's so much knitting happening. And there are so many patterns coming out constantly that it's very easy to just get distracted and move on to the next new project. That being said, I wanted to talk about a few patterns that are my forever patterns, pretty much. These are patterns that I really liked when they came out or when I saw them, and then I bought yarn for them, and I have not yet cast them on. But after years, I still want to knit them. 1 year or 2 years or whenever. It's been a while and I still want to knit those patterns with that yarn. I end up buying yarn with a purpose most of the times. Like 90% of the yarn I buy is with a purpose. Sometimes it happens along the way that a test knit comes along and I change my plans and I use a yarn for a certain project, which is okay with me. I don't care. But there's always yarn that was meant for a certain project and it will always be for that project. So I wanted to share a couple of those. Mostly the intent is selfish because I want to remind myself of patterns that I was in love with and I'm still in love with. I just want to remind myself to not get distracted by all the shiny and new things and actually go back and knit these things once in a while. Easier said than done, but we must always try. So, I discovered bare naked wools for the first time at the last, when I went to Rhinebeck in 2021, and I picked up this gorgeous sweater quantity of, what is it, Better Breakfast DK. This is in the color Milk and Honey. It has a yellow tinge to it, but I think it looks fine with my skin tone. I really want to make the Oban pullover by Thea Coleman with this yarn, and I have wanted to make the Oban since I laid my eyes on it. So this yarn was always meant to be Oban, and it will always, I think it's just that's what it's meant to be, because I really like all the cabled garments in lighter shades, though I don't really knit a lot with lighter shades, though this cable, it worked out perfectly with this color. But I do want to make one pullover in a lighter neutral and have it be like a fully cabled garment basically. So this is the Milk and Honey color and I want to make the Oban pullover in this. And I have fallen in love with bare naked wools, of course, and I really like this yarn. I really want to knit with it. It's precious. So I'm hoping at one of these, times, I'm just gonna cast on something. I call them legacy patterns because they are the legacy patterns that I fell in love with, basically. even if it was a while ago. Staying on the topic of cables, I obviously have another heavily cabled cardigan that I want to knit. It's by Thea Coleman also. I think it's called The Botanist, which is beautiful cardigan, fully cabled again. And I had purchased this Winterburn DK. I believe this is not, this is a discontinued yarn now. And I had purchased this from a D-stash, from someone's Ravelry D-stash basically. The color is Heathcliff and I have a lot of yardage in this yarn. It is such a beautiful orchid purple. I don't know what it is about the sun today. It's actually very yellow, I feel. But yeah, this is the purple yarn I have for it, and I really want to make the Botanist cardigan. It will take me quite a bit of effort to start and finish that cardigan, but I will at some point get there. So yeah, this is one of the yarns I wanted to share. The other pattern I've always wanted to knit is the Elton by Joji Locatelli. It is such a gorgeous pattern. I've seen a lot of versions of it when I go for knitting festivals, and people love this particular pattern. I know Joji has a pullover version as well, but I really like the cardigan. And I had purchased this stunning tomato soupy red yarn from Camilla, and I'm still quite hung up on making the Elton in this tomato red yarn. I have matching mohair. I have 2 skeins of each. It has existed in my stash to become an Elton. It will exist in my stash to become an Elton until it becomes an Elton. So I really want to knit this at some point. I hope I get there, I hope I get there with all my patterns, but yeah, I just wanted to remind myself of what I bought this wonderful yarn for. Talking of Camilla's yarn, one of the other patterns I've always wanted to knit since I saw it is the Perennial Sweater by Nora Gone, and it is a sweater in the worsted book by La Bien-Aimée, and I've always wanted to kind of make that sweater. I had yarn for it. I had some orange yarn for it, but recently Camilla actually came out with a new base in her shop. She's trying out this new base and she's dyed a few colors on this. It's the wool and linen, organic wool and linen blend base that she has. It's a DK weight base and it's called organic wool linen. And Camilla dyed up some pretty colors. If you've seen her latest episode, I think she talks about these colors and this yarn. And I received a very generous package from her. I told Camilla I'm interested in trying the base and I wanted to buy this yarn from her, but she very kindly just gifted me an entire sweater's quantity of this organic wool linen yarn. It is stunning, and I thought that it's the dark aubergine, so it's a very moody purple, and I thought the Perennial Sweater by Nora Gone would be so beautiful, and the little linen specks would kind of, maybe bring out the cables a little bit or add some interest to the cabled garment. So I'm definitely planning on casting this on soon. The base is very nice. It feels very soft, and I'm super excited to swatch and then also cast on. I can tell by just looking at this DK that I should get gauge. I feel like I've reached a stage where I can just feel the yarn and I know exactly what needles to cast on with or to swatch with, and I'm pretty much plus minus 1 stitch. I know what gauge I can get, unless the linen is adding too much of a different behavior to the yarn, but it should work out with US4 needles for me. So I'm super excited about this yarn. I actually had different yarn which was meant for the Perennial Sweater, but I thought I'll share that the plans have changed and I'm gonna use this dark aubergine organic wool linen yarn by Camilla. Oh, it's Cami Jo Knit yarn, by the way. I just keep calling her Camilla because I'm friends with Camilla, of course. So yeah, that is Camilla's label, and yeah, thank you so much, Camilla. I really appreciate you sending me this package, basically. So that is one pattern I was thinking of mentioning. There are quite a few other things. I actually have this beautiful Gilead de Rerum Natura Gilead in this, I don't know what the color is called, Cypress. In this Cypress color for Baljeet. I wanted to make the Vika pullover. It's a cable pullover. I forget who the designer is. It's a Brooklyn tweed pattern, but I forget who the designer is. And I really want to make that cable pullover for Baljit. And you're noticing probably that I'm just super into cables this time of the year. Maybe because I just finished this sweater and it looks so amazing, if I may say so myself, that I'm really thinking about all my cable garments. So maybe instead of being my forever patterns, they should be my forever cable patterns. But yeah, so this is meant for Baljit. This might not happen this year. I'll try. I'm actually currently knitting on a sweater for him. I knit on it once in a while here and there. It's a basic raglan, nothing else, nothing fancy. It's just a basic raglan. I want to do a double folded collar. And I feel like he has a lot of statement sweaters. He has like really bright colored sweaters and doesn't have like a simple plain, you know, just fly under the radar sweaters. So I'm knitting that. I will show it once I'm like I have shown it before. You probably won't remember it even if you've seen all my videos. It's been a while since I mentioned that. And I've just been making, whenever I want to like knit on something stuck in net, in the car, or when I'm watching a movie where I have to pay attention, I just knit on that because I'm on the body and I'm just knitting circles. So that is another sweater that's happening. But yeah, this might end up happening sometime next year. But I really want to knit with this yarn again. I actually have an unfinished object with Gilead in red for myself. I kind of want to work on that as well. This will never end, like wanting to work on projects that I'm not currently working on. Yeah, and then okay, this is another yarn I wanted to show. This is I got this. If you've seen my episodes before, I have a few yarns from Blackberry Ridge Woolen Mill. It's a woolen spun mill or something in Wisconsin, and I think the Barrett Wool Company uses this particular mill. It feels the same. The Barrett wool yarn, the spin feels the same. So I have this Aster colorway from them, and I want to knit a Kerr sweater for myself in this. Kerr is a sweater pattern by Rebecca, who's the Crea Bea, and I knit Kerr for Baljit in a dark bronze color from the same mill. So he has a sweater in the same yarn, but it's like bronze and white. And I thought it would be really nice to make a sweater for myself in like this Aster lavender-ish colorway. And I'm thinking white as well for the contrast. I don't know if I should do something really different. I think it will be nice to just stay safe and make the contrast in white as well. So yeah, that's another thing on my radar. Someone was saying in my comments that they look at the yarns behind me and they're like, how did you collect all these? A lot of people have mentioned this, and I kind of believe it, that knitting and collecting yarn are different hobbies. I end up feeling a certain way when I hear about a yarn that I've never used and I feel really inclined to buy it. It might seem indulgent, but then I also think of it, and a lot of podcasters have mentioned this as well, that it's like having a box of crayons or paints, right? Like it's your palette and gives you the option to mix and match and then look at your palette or look at your stash and then get inspired by it. So I kind of feel the same. So I like having different yarns, and sometimes they don't become what they were in my head for a while, because I see a pattern and I'm like, oh my god, you know what, that yarn will be so perfect for it, and that it changes what it becomes. So I basically go with the flow. I'm not too hung up by that. I used to not want to use yarns if I have a certain sweaters quantity and I want to make something, but it might not use up most of that quantity. I used to get hung up on that and then buy new yarn, but that was becoming a little unsustainable. So now I'm okay with breaking a sweater quantity. I just gave myself permission to do that because I realized that I can use my stash more freely, and then whatever I'm left with can maybe become a contrast color or go into a different project, and I shouldn't really be super hung up about it. So that has given me a little more leeway with my own stash, I feel. What else? I did pull out this other so yeah, I hope you're not getting bored by this section. It's not really acquisitions, current acquisitions. These are things, except for the yarn that Camilla sent me. Everything else has existed in my stash for over a year, basically. Which includes this fun skein by Bare Naked Wool. It's called Parfait Worsted. It's 210 grams in 210 yards and 100 grams. I was doing they used to have a subscription box, and I did like 2 or 3 of those to just try them out. And they sent the skein, which is really fun, but I don't know what else to use it for. And it's very springy actually, now that I feel it. I think I'm gonna use this and make another pair of fingerless gloves. I made one pair like 2 months ago, and I feel like I should make another pair, and this might be fun, and I can just do stockinette and the yarn itself will bring the interest. So I just pulled this out to show you. I wonder what is 100% mountain merino, so it's a nice and bouncy yarn. I feel like it's a 3-ply, and each ply is a different color. There's white, medium brown, and dark brown, and this colorway is called coffee. Yep, this almost feels like one of those tarot cards or something. But yeah, so I kind of want to do this as well, and use this for fingerless gloves or mitts. Might be nice. Alright, what else is up with me? So I thought I'll take some time to talk about other crafts that I've been indulging in. I haven't sewn in a very long time, but since I finished my Tolsta Tee, I've wanted to make a skirt to go with it, and I feel like this chambray-ish fabric will be really nice for an estuary skirt to go with my Tolsta. I think that'll make a cute set. I've brought out the fabric and have been looking at it for weeks, basically trying to get myself to my sewing machine, or even like to cut up the fabric and then actually sew something, but it hasn't happened in a while. And then the other thing that I've been doing a lot of is spinning. I actually just very randomly decided I needed an electric spinning wheel. So I think I bought the electric eel by Dreaming Robos, and it's the 6.0 EEW 6.0. I think that's what it's called. I'll put it on the screen if I'm mistaken. But I ended up deciding to buy an electric spinner mostly because I was spinning using a drop spindle for a while, and I noticed a pattern that every time I started using the drop spindle, I developed severe back issues. I have a very weak lower back, and it has to be on maintenance constantly, otherwise I get really terrible bouts of backache. And I felt like every time I was doing drop spindle spinning, my backache was my back was getting inflamed or whatever, and it was becoming a recurring issue. I didn't make the connection until like a few times that, oh, every time I spin, my back is hurting. So it's probably the way I'm standing and the way I'm doing it, or maybe I'm standing for too long and that's what's happening, which is weird because I use a standing desk at work. but I decided I needed an electric spinner because it's portable, doesn't use up a lot of space, and I can get through some of the fiber that I have purchased and basically spin up some yarn. So I bought a spinner, I started spinning, and then I already broke something on it. It's not like a mechanical part. I broke like that cotton thread that holds down one side of the bobbin, so I kind of have to fix that. But I will show you one, I think I can show you one bobbin that has 4 ounces or maybe 2 ounces of fiber I spun up. Hold on. This is what I spun up. I am not a consistent spinner yet. It's a lot of thick and thin, and then I do this, I don't move the pin enough, and then this sort of a yarn barf happens. I need to get better at the way I wind it on a bobbin as well, of course. But what I'm planning to do is I'll use my drop spindle to rewind this yarn, and the spots that seem to have lost their spin, I might just twist them a little bit. But yeah, that is what I've done, and I have another bobbin that's on the spinner currently, and I will spin up a few skeins of yarn, and then I want to make a shawl with all of them together. I know I had started like a blanket with my hand spun, but I feel like my spinning was very erratic in the beginning, and now it has become a bit more consistent. Still not super consistent, but a bit better. So I feel like all of these yarns need to go into like a project together, like yarns of the same spinning quality need to get into a project together. So I'll see what I want to do with that blanket, but for now I spun this up to make a shawl. I'll talk more about it's just a shawl recipe I found. I thought I could use multiple hand spun skeins and then alternate the yarn and then make like a simple garter shawl, and that might be a fun project to make. So yeah, so that has been my spinning shenanigans, I guess. That sentence was grammatically incorrect, but we will ignore it. But that probably was everything that I have been doing since I last saw you. It's been a few weeks, and I feel like it was a lot. I spoke about a lot. I talked about all these other patterns that I want to knit on. I hope you enjoyed listening to me ramble about knitting as always. I had been having some audio issues with the mic I was using, and I used a new mic today. Fingers crossed it has worked and I don't have audio issues on this one. If I do, then I don't know what the issue is. Hopefully this video is a breeze to edit and gets uploaded soon. You wouldn't know because you're only seeing it once it has been edited and uploaded. But yeah, so thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for supporting my channel. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed just sitting and knitting with me. I hope you enjoyed all my finished objects, works in progress, and all my dream knitting or knitting plans that I keep. Like, I'm making lists and they are just getting longer by the minute. But thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you're having a wonderful knitting season, no matter if it's fall or spring for you. I hope the weather is, conducive to wearing your knits wherever you are. I am currently thoroughly enjoying the cool weather, little bouts of cool weather in the mornings and in the afternoon, in the evenings. In fact, today is actually cool all through the day, so I'm really enjoying wearing my knits. I will be back most likely after the New York Sheep and Wool Festival. I don't know how much I'll get to record. I'm pretty sure I'm like this person behind the camera always who ends up taking footage of just about everything. So I'm hoping I'm pretty sure I will have footage, but let's see when my next episode is. Hopefully it's about the New York Sheep and Wool Festival, but I won't make any promises. I'm super excited to meet all my knitting friends at the festival. If you're gonna be there, please come and say hi. I would love that. I feel like I'm quite nerdy and awkward in person, at least for the first few minutes. Once I become comfortable, I'm okay. I guess that's the case with everybody. But yeah, and if you're not visiting or not going to the New York Sheep and Wool Festival, that's absolutely fine. I hope you're enjoying all the crafting, and I hope you're enjoying all the knitting podcasts. There are so many out there now. Like, it feels like if I'm running out of any shows to watch, there's always YouTube and always somebody talking about knitting, right? So yep, I think that is everything from me for today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I will see you next time. Bye.